the gap between the super-rich and the rest has risen sharply in recent years.
The wealth of the world's richest 1% is equal to the wealth of the remaining 99%. Society is so divided between the super-rich and the rest that we could be headed for massive social upheaval. The 70s was a period of the greatest equality in history, but then things started to change. Since the late 2000s, Australia has been the 9th most unequal of all OECD countries. The Gini coefficient is the most used measurement of a country's inequality, so the higher the Gini coefficient, the less equal a country. Australia's Gini coefficient is 3 percentage points above the OECD average and has had the 7th fastest growth rate of all the OECD countries since the 1980s, double that of the average OECD increase. The Black-Scholes equation is an algorithm created by Fisher-Black and Myron-Scholes in 1973. It created a way for investors to predict the worth of particular stock items, knowing the trends and when to sell, giving them confidence in taking big risks. People began earning huge amounts of money. The Black-Scholes equation is used to determine when to sell a stock item according to the standard deviation. The higher the standard deviation, the higher the volatility. The equation tells the owner when the stock item is expected to peak. Another reason for the rapidly growing wealth gap is the development of securitization in recent times, which is where banks bundle debts to be traded, creating enormous wealth for the few. The stock exchange and securitization revolutionized wealth creation and divided the super-rich from the rest. The inequality of the world at the moment is similar to ant society. The Queen represents the 1% and all the other ants represent the 99%. The Queen sits around all day enjoying a good life whilst the rest work to support her. In 2014, Australian house prices increased by 6.8%, creating more debt for banks to trade on the stock exchange. The more money you have, the more money you can make, and the bigger the divide between the super-rich and the rest. Currently, CEOs take home 70 times the average Australian salary. Can the enormous growth in CEO salaries be justified? And we are seeing a decrease in real wages of the everyday Australian. We've had fewer strikes and a drop in trade union membership, which means that the poorer Australians are forced to accept their financial situation, which hurts the whole economy. If people have less money to spend, it affects economic growth. House prices are rising faster than incomes, increasing debt as people take out bigger mortgages. Debt cycles are created by the banks, trapping Australians for longer periods, feeding the banks and those able to profit from debt, again creating greater inequality. We've all played Monopoly. The ones with the most money are able to risk more for more returns. Just like in Monopoly, the winners can leverage their greater wealth to take advantage of the poor. French economist Thomas Piketty is an expert in inequality. His book, Capital in the 21st Century, explores how the economies of Europe and the USA have grown since the 18th century. He believes that to solve the issue of world inequality, a wealth tax has to be implemented to ensure that the future economy isn't controlled by the rich few. If the economy stays the same, the world could turn into a monopoly game where it is survival of the fittest. It will lead to a society full of freelancers, fighting to pay off debts from which the super-rich are benefiting. To the super-rich, morality is not in question. They believe that if you earn it, you deserve it. It's not just a decrease in wages, but the fragmentation of employment. Currently, there are 3.7 million Australian freelancers. This is creating a delicate economic system where the lower end are fighting to survive on precarious employment. They are known as the precariat. Elance is a website where freelancers can post jobs at super competitive prices. Australia has more jobs advertised per capita than any other nation in the world, almost double that of the second highest country, the United States. It's a rapidly growing trend that is evident across the world, with numerous other freelancing companies emerging. Between 2013 and 2014, there was an exponential growth in the number of freelancers registered with Elance.